David. Joshua Blank. Jamie Blanton. Matthew Feder. Gedalia Gerstel. Ellie Goldberg. Joshua Greenfield. Elinoam Hafner. Neil Harris. Avi Yerushalmi. Max Kirschblum. David Mandelbaum. Jesse Meth. Jared David Marani. Gabriel Rab. David Rabinowitz. Zev Rand. Jake Ratzker.
David Zuckerman. David Zugoff.
Think of this class of 2013, you may think of bonfires and barbecues and trips and bounce, but just a couple of facts about this class. 85% of the graduates were accepted to their first choice college. 80%. 80% of our early decision applicants were accepted in the first round. 30% of our seniors were accepted into select honors programs, and over $2 million in merit scholarships have been awarded to the graduating class of 2013. I am also extremely proud of the fact that our graduates have been accepted to Israel's finest institutions, and many of our graduating seniors will be spending a gap year next year in Israel, studying Torah, imbibing its beautiful culture, and becoming strong, passionate lovers of Medinat Israel and Eretz Israel. To our students off to college, we wish you bon voyage, and to our students off to Israel, we wish you a Nesiyah Tova. We have a special surprise for you, a slideshow, a real retrospective of every one of our seniors from a very, very long time ago. We thank Dr. Brad for painstakingly putting together this really very special moment. Graduation address by Lishai Lichtman.
Hi, please excuse my voice. I lost it on a senior trip. Kurt Vonnegut once said, "True terror is to wake up one morning and discover that your high school class is running the country." I cannot believe that today, Kushner's class of 2013 is graduating. There is no doubt in my mind that we will all go off to run the country, however scary that may be. After many years of high school, we are finally entering the world to explore and become our own people. That being said, Kushner has been a foundational stepping stone in our journey into adulthood. Here, we have studied, learned, bonded, and grown. Here, we feel as though we are home. Kushner makes its students feel connected, whether or not we realize it at the time. Recently, I discovered a subconscious connection that made me aware of how special Kushner really is. A few months ago, I woke up at 4 a.m. to get on a flight to Duke University, a place entirely different from what I've known. That my day at the university felt like a day in a whole new world. As with any college visit, the day was extremely overwhelming. By the afternoon, I was exhausted. All I wanted to do was go back to the hotel. Instead, my mom and I stopped to visit the Hillel. When I walked into a giant room full of Jewish books, I honestly couldn't believe it. I felt at home. After visiting a place so foreign to the Jewish bubble, feeling the Jewish life at the Hill made me feel comfortable. I felt secure knowing that I could move on from high school to a place where I knew I would have a piece of Kushner there with me all times. More importantly, I knew that if I ever needed to know what the Chachamim say about your neighbor's cow wandering onto your pasture, you would have a place to go. Even if we don't realize it, at heart, we belong to the Kushner community. For its students, Kushner is a place of comfort, and more importantly, it is a home. During Yom HaZikaron, a day memorializing Israel's fallen soldiers, someone who experienced loss told us, "It is not true that life continues. It stops and then restarts differently." Through my experience, I know that when you lose someone, your life, the way you knew it, would never be the same. That being said, if I had to choose a place for my life to stop, I appreciate the fact that it stopped at my Kushner home. Daddy, you're forever in my heart, and I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge how much I'm thinking of you on this special day as I stand here in front of all the people who comforted me and supported me at a time that I needed it most. Kushner is not only a school, it is a support system, it is a community, and it is a place unlike any other. We as students are lucky to have been able to experience RKYHS and all it has to offer. Its classes, its speakers, its faculty, its students, and its values. At this point in time, I can't tell you the fundamental theorem of calculus or how to perform a regression analysis, but I can tell you about each and every tiyul, Shabbaton, kumsitz, color war, and bonding experience we've had here at Kushner. More than anything, high school has been about how we've interacted with one another, with our teachers, coaches, parents, siblings, with the people in the grades below us and above us, with our guidance counselors, the security guards, and anybody else who's called Kushner home during our 4 years here. As closure for these years, during the class of 2013 senior dinner, we received letters that we wrote to ourselves in past grades. My 11th grade self reminded me of all the moments, whether big or small, we've had here at Kushner. More importantly, it reminded me of the special people who graduate here today. Within this grade, we have video producers, bakers, future surgeons, lawyers, nutritionists, and teachers, bundles of joy, Talmud Chachams, competitive athletes, musicians, DJs, artists, passionate learners, and leaders. This list, though shortened, gives a taste of the inspiring characters that are soon off to enter the world. It's amazing that after 4 years of studying, laughing, and chagigaing together, we're down to the last few minutes of our high school careers. Throughout our years here, we've had major laughs, major fights, and major memories. And now, as we go off to Israel and colleges to pursue our own majors, we will never forget the major experience we've had here at home. Happy birthday, Andrew, and we did it, class of 2013, we did.
Beautiful and sensitive and poignant, thoughtful, personal, communal reflection, and an important address and a great lesson for us all. It's truly a place we call our own. Thank you so much, Lishai Lichtman, for sharing with us both the personal, the in-depth, and the important values that you shared tonight. Thank you. We're blessed with a very vibrant and an energetic and visionary student council president. I invite Allison Steele to join us on the podium.
Hi everyone, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover." Well, keep that in mind as I read my speech. Over my 3 years on student council, regardless of the year, I never knew quite what to do with this grade. This grade was special, a unique group of kids of all sorts that never failed to, well, grasp our attention. Student council needs to be very specific and considerate in planning school-wide events, always making sure to take into account this grade's special interests, mainly their tendency to be carefree and accident-prone as a natural result. If accident-prone comes as a surprise to anyone here, then you clearly don't know our grade well enough. Student council became aware of this faculty early on and actually didn't spend much time assessing a cure for it. I guess we realized that when members of a grade do things like fall into the lake on Yule, accidentally tackle a kid to the point of stitches in a friendly game of flag football on Shabbaton, same kid, different year. Accidentally shatter the glass of a bowling lane on a trip. The bowler got a strike, so it was worth it, by the way. Fall over people constantly on the ice in just about every ice skating rink we went to, which was a lot. There's simply nothing you can do about it. You can try to stop it, but whether you like it or not, Gabe is going to end up in that lake. However, it was the cause of their clumsiness that we were more concerned about and more determined to combat. This grade is free-spirited. At most events, this grade did their own thing, which was usually the opposite of whatever student council had planned. It didn't seem to us that they cared, but we wanted them to. It didn't seem to us that they were inspired, so we spent hours and hours trying to inspire them. We thought, we strategized, bribery was attempted, but always ineffective. Nothing was ever quite good enough for this grade, except for chickies. They weren't stupid, quite the contrary. They simply didn't want to participate in some of our activities because they couldn't or wouldn't fake the spirit. So what did we, student council, do? We branded them as the carefree grade and planned accordingly. And that was that. I've come to recognize over the past year that we were so wrong. Wrong about their lack of spirit and lack of passion. I, along with student council, watched in awe as the seniors stepped up to the plate. Although not all the school sports teams were, say, undefeated, this grade still showed up to the games and cheered their peers on with a sort of rare, wild spirit that this school hasn't seen in years. True, this grade wasn't always enthusiastic when it came to our RKYHS, but they certainly were when it came to their own. Yes, I'm talking about the Rubbing Alkaline song. They may not have always stood up when we wanted them to, but they most definitely stood up for what they believed in, especially when it came to the well-being of their friends. They were not uninspired, just not easily inspired. They needed to be challenged. It occurred to me that we couldn't force them to be more spiritful only because their spirit was genuine. And it was for this raw, genuine spirit that I believe the underclassmen admire them so. I realized through this grade that passion doesn't need to be shown off or be traditional to be present. Just like I joined student council because I was passionate about the school and its students, every single student in this grade possessed and immersed himself or herself in a passion. Whether in soccer, volleyball, or wrestling, in art, drums, or singing, in history, math, or Gemara, in food, fashion, or movie making, in poetry, in Judaism, in Israel. This is such a brilliant, such a talented grade, one that I'll admit, we didn't recognize enough, one that I cannot believe we dubbed as passionless simply because we couldn't figure out how to use their different energy. I'm so proud, so happy to have represented this grade, and I'm so excited to see how these students will manifest their passions and become leaders in their fields as their lives progress. Congrats, class of 2013, never change. Administration, don't worry, I didn't forget the gift. The class of 2013 and student council are happy to present the student body with updates for the pit, the student lounge, such as phone chargers, music speakers, and a week for the television. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you, and generations after you, thank you for the wonderful gifts you're bestowing upon our school. Speaking of gifts, every graduating senior received a copy of the Startup Nation thanks to the generosity of Dr. Kenneth and Randy Rubenstein. Every graduating senior received a Koren Sidur courtesy of Parent-Teacher Council. This year, as had never been done before, every graduating senior received the Graduate Survival Guide, setting you up for success in college, courtesy of our beloved teacher, Mr. Mallins. Thank you. And speaking of gifts, every graduating senior received their first alumni gift, a coffee mug to keep you up at night when you were studying for your exams. Not the mug, the coffee. And the last gift, every graduating senior received this bag. It's a really nice bag. So what is it like to be 10 years out of the Ray Kushner or the Kushner Yeshiva High School? We invite Ms. Lauren Silverman, class of 2003, to share her wisdom with you. Sheer dignity.
Good evening, graduates. I am honored to speak to you on this occasion of your graduation. My first thought when asked to speak tonight was, has it really been 10 years since I sat there in those seats wondering what the summer and my future held? Well, it really has been 10 years. Speaking of years, I want to share with you something I've realized regarding the passage of time.